Hello and welcome back to the Beautiful Things channel. I am here with you today to share another one of my top tips with you. Now, if you're like me and you use a lot of wadding in your projects, not necessarily for quilting, but perhaps to give a little bit of extra stability to a bag or a box, then it can get expensive buying big pieces of wadding that you would normally buy to do things like this quilt. Now, when you're quilting like this, you do need a nice new piece, a nice big flat piece. But if you are going to be doing small projects, you can get away with reusing all your scraps and offcuts. So I've got lots of little pieces like this, especially because we use it a lot in classes. So lots of small pieces that would sometimes get thrown away. And I just keep them. I've got loads and loads and loads. In fact, this big tub up here is absolutely full of wadding scraps, and I need to sit down and do what I'm about to do with a couple of pieces with the whole lot to create some really big brand new pieces of fabric. Now, what you want to do is take your pieces of quilting wadding scrap, set your sewing machine up with some white thread in the top and bottom of the bobbin. I'm going to use yellow today only because I want you to be able to see the stitches. But set it up with white thread and put it on a wide zigzag stitch. So the standard zigzag that comes with your machine will probably be absolutely fine, which is about 5 wide, and I think the length is about 2.5. Now, looking at your scraps, you want to take some pieces that are roughly the same size in length. So you can see this one's a bit shorter than this one, so I'll put that to the side for a minute. But this one is a similar length. So what you're going to do is just overlap the edges. I'm guessing that's about 1/2 inch. Yeah, they're just overlapped. Now, it's not straight. I haven't straightened it up. You don't need to do that. Just overlap those edges, and you can pin it if you want. So I've pinned down, and I've pinned so that my pin heads are facing down towards me, which means I can take them out as I sew. Set my machine to a standard zigzag, which on this machine is actually 5 wide and 1.5 long. Now, I've lined up my wadding so that my join is running in the groove in the middle of my presser foot. That means that my zigzag stitch is going to go onto this piece, onto this piece, onto this piece, onto this piece. And although that line is super wibbly wobbly, I'm going to simply follow it. So I'm keeping the groove in the middle of my presser foot on that join, and I'm moving the fabric as I go, and I'm not taking the pins out because I'm actually able to avoid them. And when I get to the end, I'm just going to stop. So that's all stitched. I'm then going to flip the fabric over, and you'll see that you've got the other raw edge on the other side, and you're going to do exactly the same thing. Line up that join in the groove in the middle of your presser foot and follow it. Now, at this stage, you've got 2 lines of very wibbly wobbly stitching. I suggest bringing it over to your iron and giving it a really good blast of steam. Set your iron to full steam on cotton and just blast over those stitch lines till they're nice and flat. So you can see how super wibbly wobbly they are, but you've got a really nice firm join. Once you've steamed 2 pieces together, then you can take another piece, and you're just going to keep finding pieces that are similar size. So I'm just going to flip this on here, and you can see I've left a little bit of overhang. So that's just going to fit nicely. So I've got a little edge just making sure that it's on top, and I'm going to pin that down and then stitch it all the way down the join here, and then I'll flip it over and stitch it all the way down the join here. The trick is definitely in the steaming though. It's what's going to give you a really nice flat piece of finished fabric. So you can see I've already joined together 3 of my scraps, and I'm just going to keep adding. I'm going to keep going and going and going. Now if need be, what you can do is create more pieces like this. So you could get another 3 pieces and join those together so that you end up with 2 pieces that are this size. You can then join those 2 sizes together. Then you can go again, another piece of 3, another piece of 3, join that together, and then join your piece of 6 to your piece of 6, and it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. Obviously you're not going to be adding small pieces to big pieces, that just won't work. You just need to create yourself from small to medium, put 2 medium pieces together to make a large, repeat, then put the 2 larges together, then repeat right from the beginning and put an extra large to an extra large. I hope I'm making sense. If I'm not, let me know and I'll carry on with this tutorial. But it's a really good way of making one large piece of quilting fabric. No one's ever going to see it when it's being used inside something, so it doesn't matter if it's riddled with seams, as long as they are flat. Now if you do make quilts like this, as I say, sometimes it's always nice if it's for you or a gift to make sure you use a nice new piece of wadding. But if you're making quilts for charity or to give away, perhaps to a homeless project or a hospice or a hospital, then they will not mind if you have pieced together scraps of wadding and not spent a small fortune on brand new wadding. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you again really, really soon for another top tip. Thanks for watching. Bye!